And now we're coming to the middle of our, let's say, the panel about Mobile Moyo, and I would be glad to invite on this stage another great speaker, because what I think is that we talk right now about the US perspective. Kate was telling us we had kind of like a European vision in terms of Singularity University, and now we have a presenter from Asia who is actually talking from the heart of Tokyo, the place where actually I think all majority of mobile trends were burned. So I would like to invite here Kei Shimada, please, from Dentsu. He's a mobile strategist and a futurist. So we will expect today some very interesting facts about actually what we're looking for in the future, mobile future also. Please.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Just started my timer because I'm a punctual Japanese. This half is my punctual Japanese side, and my other half is actually being American because I was born in New York. So I'll give you a raw view into what's happening in Japan from a Japanese-American point of view, because you will not see that many Japanese here in Moscow presenting about what's happening in my home country. So, mobile trends from Japan. So who am I? My name is Kei Shimada. Just give you sort of like a background of where I'm from. But what I do, I'm a traveler, a keynote speaker, entrepreneur, mentor, connector, and all those things put into one. But I'm here to explain Japan in a nutshell, and I'm going to try to put that into a 15-minute presentation. It's going to be a safari tour, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have afterwards. So, okay, so the biggest question here for the audience is, why bother listening to me at MBLT 13? Well, one of the things that I do is I travel the world talking about innovation, why Japan should matter for the audience, you, people around the world. In a lot of cases, mobile in Japan is very unique. Who thinks mobile in Japan is strange? Okay. All right, things happen for a reason. For instance, before I go into my presentation, one of the biggest reasons mobile has become very big in Japan is that in the late 1990s, before mobile internet happened in Japan, mobile internet connectivity on PC was super expensive and very slow. And then, and also we have very small living quarters, probably a fourth of what you have here in Moscow, for probably double the price. So we don't have any privacy. So one of the carriers said, why don't we put the internet on the phone so people can have their own privacy and get internet access to a lot of content. So I'm here today to talk about Japan, where we're a homogeneous society. You could see mainly black-haired people with a lot of travels coming in and out of Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya. But Japan is always about innovation. I'd like to open up Japan and talk about its innovation side because it's damn interesting. But innovation won't make sense unless you have long-term vision. When you look at mobile, all of these things that you see here on my presentation deck right here happened in Japan first. So mobile internet, of course, there were bits and pieces of experiments going around in the world, but I'm talking about nationwide services where my grandma, my child could have access to these kind of services. These all happened in Japan. So starting from 1999, we had mobile internet and mobile email on our phones first, going down the list, camera phone, MMS, location-based services. We actually had the first app store too, video calling, 3D displays, well that went away, real tones, Wi-Fi, mobile, what have you. I stopped at 2006 because I couldn't fit them all into this presentation. To be honest with you, there's less and less innovation on mobile, so I'm just gonna put that to the side. So when we talk about innovation, I would say innovation won't matter to the general public unless we focus on a multilateral long-term benefit, which means there has to be, for instance, like a mobile ecosystem for innovation to matter to, for instance, brands, developers, any kind of business that has any relevance to mobile. So in Japan's mobile case, it was, we call them the benevolent dictator, which I'm not going to mention this, the gentleman on the right because of trademark issues, but we sort of see him as the operators in Japan. So what happened in Japan is that the mobile operators sat in the middle of the mobile ecosystem that controlled the mobile platform vendors, the handset vendors, and the content providers. So what generally happened is that the mobile carriers spec the phones. They got access to the same kind of devices, for instance, like the same NFC chip, the same kind of television antenna as the other operators to create a big market first instead of worrying about the revenue. Because unless you create a market, innovation will not matter. And that's why even when we talk about not the iPhone, not the Android, we talk about feature phones in Japan, you can see that a lot of these services are standard on Japanese feature phones. We could do mobile payment, have a camera, read books, read manga, go to a social networking service, play games, listen to music, and all those things you could do since mid-2000s or even earlier. So when I talk about a mobile ecosystem, how many of you have heard the terminology NFC? Okay, everybody knows about NFC. Why is it that NFC is not popular in your country? Have you ever thought about that?
Not practical use.
No practical use. That's a good one. Okay, that's a very good pointer, because one of the reasons NFC really took off in Japan was the very, very simple reason. One of the busiest train stations in Japan, called Shinjuku. How many of you know Shinjuku? All right, you are very, very rare people. Okay. Okay. The total population of New Zealand goes through the turnstiles every day to get on and off the trains. There is no person that I know who's going to punch holes in every ticket that goes through the turnstiles each and every day. That was one of the necessities that NFC played a very, very big role into supplying the convenience that people need. It has to be relevant with people's lives. So NFC is innovation, but it has to matter with the way people work, live, and how cities work. And that's one of the reasons why NFC actually started off on trains back in 2004. In 2005, the National Railway said, well, now we'll take NFC and implant them to the convenience stores around the train stations. And in 2007, the restaurants surrounding that area, the department stores, started engaging with NFC. And what happened next was that in 2008, McDonald's said, well, if everybody's using NFC, why can't we build an elaborate CRM system utilizing NFC? Because NFC is default on every mobile phone in Japan from 2004. You actually have more than 40 million people using NFC phones actively every day for getting on a train, boarding a plane, actually going to McDonald's too. So basically what McDonald's did was they formed a joint venture with NTT Docomo, which is the largest carrier in Japan, and said, we'll build an elaborate CRM system. So Kei Shimada, in the dead smack center of Tokyo, 2 a.m., I would go there and buy a Big Mac. They would know immediately, Kei Shimada, 2 a.m., bought a Big Mac at a McDonald's store in Tokyo. They'll know it's unhealthy, but they'll secretly push me a coupon for a green salad I could redeem the next day. That's what happened. We're not up to speed as the US. They exceeded us, but in 2011 we did reach 1.2 billion US. Mobile commerce has been there from day one in 1999, where you could buy t-shirts, you could buy cosmetics and so forth, what have you, on a mobile phone using the carrier billing system. And now it's exceeded 11 billion US dollars. So are we different from the rest of the world? Who thinks Japan is different from the rest of the world? Okay, now, we love the iPhone. There are iPhone worshippers, and we actually, the best-selling phone for Japan in 2012 was actually the iPhone. And it's not only the iPhone that's selling very well. My grandma has an Android phone because there are tailored senior phones that seniors can use very quickly, very easily, because Fujitsu and other Japanese manufacturers have been concentrating in developing a convenient handset for the past 10 years. And they've sold over 20 million of these phones. And we're also known for the fastest tweets per minute, and the check-in record for Foursquare is actually in Japan. Okay. So what's next? Who hates mobile advertising? Who likes to have mobile advertising? Okay, all right. So when I say mobile, it's not the phone. But what if mobile advertising could become this? How many of you know about the Toyota Fundi? Okay. All right. This is a vehicle which is wrapped around by a screen. So you can see by using a mobile phone, you could. All right, I have 5 minutes. Okay, so you could park your car, swipe your mobile phone, and get information about the storefront. You could also change the wallpaper of your car. I'm not going to say this is convenient. This might be a pointer of what mobile can do, how it could interact with, for instance, other forms of mobility in the future. Okay, smart cars and houses. How many of you know about the Nissan Leaf? How many of you know that the Nissan Leaf could actually charge your house? You're a smart person. Okay, for the rest of you, what happens here is that energy efficiency is a very big matter in Japan. We had the Fukushima disaster where every summer we're all told by the electric companies to hold down on air conditioning usage and so forth. And we said, well, why can't we put the battery on the car so it could charge our house? And of course, it has a mobility component where you could actually lower your air conditioning or shut down your refrigerator or microwave. I'm not going to do it if my chicken is in there. But you could use mobility and interact with the car and your house. This is smart house. Augmented reality. Who loves AR? Who loves augmented reality? Okay. Right, the next generation of augmented reality is actually something that understands which surface you're interacting with. This is Sony's smart AR technology. It goes way beyond what's available on augmented reality right now. It's not just putting virtual objects in the air, it's actually understanding the surface so that you can see the water dripping off of the table as though it's touching a physical object. Watch this. This is actually done through an Xperia, which will probably be available sometime next year or the following year. And watch, this person will lift up the book. And it'll just create an angle. Watch that. This is the kind of technology that you will be engaging really soon. It's not far out into the future. How is it that brands will engage with this technology? That's something that you have to understand and think about. Talk about big data. My colleague here, or my boss here, will be talking about this in detail in the afternoon at 3 o'clock. So I'm just going to give you a sort of a hint of what mobile and big data can bring to the table. Tokyo is actually very similar geographically to Moscow. What if you could gather all of that location-based information and put them on a map and put them into chronological order? This is what we will be seeing at 3 p.m. today. And it's called graphic. But last of all, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Well, it's easy for Albert Einstein to say, but for Japanese people, explaining something is a very big hassle because we're a homogeneous society and we tend to sit down, smile at each other, and the word gets across. So, nonverbal communication. I love music. But I want to stop searching for music because I always search for the same stuff. So why can't music find myself? I hope the sound is turned on for the next video. It's not, we need the sound? Okay. Don't worry, I won't bore you. This is something that Yuri touched upon in his presentation. It's neurotechnology. It's neurotechnology, and it interacts with your brain waves. Okay, here we go.
Miko, music inspiration from your subconsciousness. Miko frees the user from having to select songs and artists and allows users to encounter new music just by wearing the device. The Miko system is made up of two parts, the Miko headphone and the Miko app for iPhone. The Miko headphone detects brain waves through the sensor on your forehead. The Miko app then automatically analyzes the user's condition of the brain and searches for music that best matches from the Miko database and plays the selection that fits the user's mood. The mood is shown on the indicator of the Miko headphone when the user is focused, when user is drowsy, and stressed. Miko provides a new experience which we call music serendipity by detecting the user's subconsciousness through their brainwaves. Miko by NeuroWare.
This is also an experiment or a project that my colleagues in my department is running right now. So I talked about innovation, and innovation only matters if you have sort of like an ecosystem. These are very early stage experiments that we're doing. We don't have an ecosystem to allow this to justify the usage of this. But we are looking into the future because, for instance, we do have certain ideas. So how is it that we encounter new music? How do we search for new music? How do we come across new music? Those are sort of like the things that we come across in our daily lives. So we're trying to answer that. Okay, so hope I didn't bore you. This is my 18-month-old son. He gets bored when I talk about technology because he's not a technology geek yet. But the takeaway for today is that there are a lot of innovations that happen around the world where you are not aware of. Japan is a nice place to look for certain innovation that's happening in different kinds of categories, for instance, like mobile, automotive, and so forth. And understanding what innovation does, and moreover, trying to connect innovation with the convenience that it could apply to your everyday lives is actually the key to success. Doesn't matter if it's only happening in Japan. Japanese people are crazy anyway. But as I showed you today about Japan and innovation, a lot of the things that happen on mobile and what you use today happen in Japan first. So it's worth looking into the land of the rising sun called Japan. And also, just another thing, there's a lot of technology that brands and developers engage with, and they become like sporadic rocket launches. You blast something into the air and it looks spectacular, but it's not sustainable. A lot of the technology and innovation is actually the byproduct or the end product of microsteps of enhancements from previous products. So don't be scared to engage or look back into the past and say, well, maybe I could utilize this and maybe I could build up on that, make it sort of like an advanced version or something, because Rome was not built in a day. But last but not least, listen first. Always listen to your end customer. What do they want? Because they are always your best mentor. So thank you very much. If you need to contact me, this is where you could contact me. And I don't speak Russian, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have in English. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kei. It was really impressive. I think everybody liked the video and things connected with the brain, and it's deciding what kind of music you can listen.
Yeah, I could be very boring by speaking. So.
Okay, but could you tell us, please? So those cool stuff which you showed us, are Japanese mobile developers consider that this product could be applied in any other place in the world, or just they produce it for the local market? How it's actually happening?
Absolutely. I think that's a very good question, Daria. Thanks for asking. The Japanese companies are very, very passionate about reaching across borders. But due to our geographical location in the Far East and also due to the language barrier, we do have some issues of reaching outwards. But if there is anything in this presentation that sort of clicks, please reach out to me. Maybe I can make a connection, maybe I can make an intro, or maybe give you some more information before you reach out. But the thing is, please do look at Japan as a land of opportunity, but also look at Japan as a market that maybe you could enter, because I'm very sure that you have spectacular products, but also please help Japan reach out into your local market too.
And of course, you are in Russia. Do you consider that this type of technologies actually, or any others, could be applied at Russian market? Because we have so many copycats from US, you know, we watch the West as a place of innovations and everything to apply, you know. And is it possible to apply something from Japan? Are you considering it as a market?
Absolutely. The thing is, the best or the biggest advantage that you have locally is your connection to the local market. Forget about the people from the US, forget about people from Japan. You know the local market the best. As I mentioned before, innovation will not matter unless you have an ecosystem. You are in a very good position where you have the right connections, so try to just focus on building an ecosystem or a market first in order for people to engage with the innovation that you have in hand. Unless so, there's no way of winning.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can make applause for our great speaker.